This is my Carnival shawl, and it's a little bit of an unusual shape. So I've soaked it in lukewarm water, and I've just laid it out, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the shape. So if you're not sure, because you can't always tell from pattern photos what the shape's going to look like, so if you're not sure, just lay it out on the table. Even before you soak it, you can do this, and just pull it and see what kind of, smooth it out and see what shape it wants to get into. You can change that shape slightly, but not hugely. So here you can see that that's a straight edge. This actually starts as a top-down triangle, and then after a few inches, about that long, you start adding these front sections. So this bit is going to be straight, this bit is going to come up like that. So we will start to put our wires in. Now, like I've said with the other triangle shawl, you could put a wire straight down there. I don't particularly like doing that. I just don't think there's any need for it, so I'm not going to do that. But you can do that if you want to. So for this bit, because it's a short straight bit, I can either use a short wire, but I tend to just use my Nipro nip blockers, and I'm going to try and line it up with here, because this is where the new blocking mat starts. So I'm going to try and line it up with there. And I'm not going to stretch this too much sideways, I've just sort of smoothed it out. So that's straight, and then I'm going to work up here. So I have to put some extra blocking mats on here. So we're going to put one blocking mat there and one blocking mat there. So I'm going to put this wire in now. This is going to be a straight edge. So I've done a yarn over, 2 stitches in from the edge every other row. So that gives me a nice little hole so that I can thread the wire through, and I go through in and out of every other hole. So I go in under 2, down under 2 holes, back up, over 2, across 2 holes, down. So every other hole I come in and out. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to stretch that. So this bit here is the bit that's going to fit around your neck. So you may, if it's a little bit shorter than you really wanted, then you can try and stretch it a little bit by stretching this bit. So I'm going to put and I want to try and keep this straight, this bit straight, which is a bit challenging because my blocking wires are all gone a bit bendy. So there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Move this out of the way. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Thread the wires through every other yarn over hole. There we go. Because I don't like having blocking wires stick off the edge of the table, because that's why they get caught and they go all bendy. So I would rather have it sticking off that end of the shawl, but on top of the fabric, rather than coming off the end of the table. So I want to line it up with the, I can either measure how far I've stretched the other side, because these are going to be the same, or I can just eyeball it. I tend to just eyeball it, especially when they are relatively close. So, and now I've got these loopy edges, so I'm going to thread the blocking wires through these loops. And what is important is that you go into the loops. So I'm going into all the loops from the top, or you can do them all from the bottom, as long as you do them all the same way. So you want to work out where this spine is here. That's going to go straight out to the side. So pull that spine out. Now if I stretch a lot here, that's going to impact the stretch on this bit. So I don't want to stretch it too much to start with. So I'm just going to pull that one like that. And then I'm just going to put a few pins in. Because I will have to come back and adjust this later, so I'm not going to put too many pins in, just a few, just to give it a little bit of stretch. But I will come back to this. So I think I'm going to leave it like that, and then I'm going to take the next block and wire through this way. So I'm just hooking all these loops, which I made by, you can do them by crocheting them. On this pattern I actually did them by making 6 big yarn overs. So I'm going through all of them from the top down. Doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you just do it the same way, otherwise it may look a bit funny. So, oops. There we go. So again, this is going to go straight down, and you can do a Y there if you want to. So I'm going to stretch that down. I'm going to pin out this side. So stretch it about as far as I can. I will double check later that it measures the same as the other side. But at the moment I'm just concentrating on roughly getting the right shape. And then I'm just going to thread it through on this side. So there we go. Stretch this section out again. I'm only going to put 3 pins in, and then I'm going to do the final section up there. And then once I've done the final section, I can then start pinning it out properly and putting some more pins in and measuring and all that fun stuff. There we go. So now I'm going to just pin out this section roughly first, like I've done all the others. Now I'm going to start to double check everything. I'm going to put a couple extra mats on this side because I've got a feeling that it's stretched a little bit more the other side than this side. So I think once I start measuring, I may have to stretch this bit a bit more. So I'm going to check that increase line and that one, because they should be measuring the same. That one measures 42 centimeters, and that one measures 52. Let me just double check that that's right. Okay, just realised what I did. That way I measured from the centre, this one I just did from the edge. So I'm going to do this one from the centre as well. So that one measures 57 from the centre and 42 from there. So let me just try this one again. From here it's, okay, so to get to 42 I need to get it about there. So I'm going to put a pin in. Right, that's outside camera, but I need to stretch this edge a bit more. And then I can start stretching all the other bits as well. I'm going to do this side first. I'm going to put markers in a bit closer together. And I'm going to try and make sure that this wire is as straight as possible. Bearing in mind that all my wires are really wonky. Okay, so that, I'm happy with that line now. I'm going to measure how much it measures from here straight down. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So down to the 10th. So from there to the 10th one of those from the top down is 30 centimetres. So I'm going to do the same thing here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So from there to the 10th one should be 30 centimetres. So this one needs to come out a little bit. So then I'm going to stretch this side. I must admit I don't always measure as carefully as I did now. Sometimes I'll just kind of eyeball it, and that's fine. Okay, so I'm happy now with this section here, so now I'm going to have a look at the top section and see if I can stretch that a bit more. So let's do this one first. Again, you want to stretch it so the fabric is fairly taut. If you look there, there's quite a lot of tension in the fabric. I would say I can almost bounce a golf ball off it. I might be slightly exaggerated, but that's the kind of stretch, that's kind of what you're aiming for, fabric that's completely taut. So I'm going to do this side now. Again, I'm not going to bother measuring these top edges. I know that it's fairly, these two are roughly at the right place, so I'm going to just leave it at that. And you just need to go around and stretch it and pin it till you've got, till it looks like you want it to, until it's the size you want it to. If you're following the pattern that obviously gives you various measurements, then you have to follow those measurements. I tend to just stretch them until they're the size I want them. So you just basically go around all the edges, stretch it and pin it till everything looks the way you want it to, until the fabric is fairly firm. So there should be quite a lot of tension on that fabric. Can you see that is quite a lot of, I'm kind of trying to think of it almost as being able to bounce a ball off it. I wouldn't recommend that, but that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So this is very stretched out now, because I like to give my shawls a quick spray with a spray starch. I use this one, Dr. Becky. Dr. Bachmann, which I get from the local supermarket. Shawls that are made from any kind of wool blend will shrink back as you use it. So because I use mine a lot for display purposes, I like to spray it with a bit of spray starch, hoping that that will help it to keep its shape. You don't want to do too much spray starch because you don't want it to feel stiff, but just a little bit I find seems to work quite well. Okay, thank you for watching.